Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm Johnny TCG. I'm excited to see you here today, and today we're talking about a red-blue Marco deck list. This is the first time I've ever covered this leader on the channel. There are so many leaders in this game, it's hard for me to try them all, but now I'm finally giving Marco a try, and I think you're really gonna like this deck list. This is a list that topped the recent regional in Paris, top 32 to be exact. It was piloted by this user on Twitter. I'll put their Twitter on screen. They say they're not the actual creator of the list, and so I'll throw up the creator of the list that they credited on screen too. Ruben and Raphael, both of these people deserve credit for this list. I did not make this list, but I wanted to try it out. It seemed like a really interesting direction for Marco. I can't wait to tell you about this deck. Today we're going to be doing the deck profile, we're going to be doing a custom leader giveaway, and then of course we're going to take this deck to the sim, seeing how it does, and then talking about it afterwards. With that, let's get into the deck profile. For those that don't know, Marco is a leader from OP08, a 5,000 power red-blue 4-life leader. He's got the ability of Dawn ×1, activate main once per turn. You may draw a card, then place one card from your hand at the top or bottom of your deck. This is a great way to cycle your hand, find the cards you need in certain matchups, and then you give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power for the turn. Both of these abilities are really strong. The only thing holding this leader back really is the fact that it's 4 life, and in certain metas that can be really hard to deal with. Starting off with the deck list, we got 4 EBO1 choppers, 3 cost 4,000 power, blocker with 1k of counter. He's got the ability of Dawn ×2 when attacking, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3,000 power for the turn. He is a great target for the Shut Up and Come With Us event, or this other 3 cost 5,000 power chopper, which I'll talk about in a moment. He's a great card to cheat out with those. He also has an ability that synergizes very well with your leader ability and some of the other cards in your deck. In this deck, as you'll see, we are running a ton of cards that can pop based on power, and so adding another card that can reduce power is, yeah, just really strong. I think this card is kind of expensive right now, so if you want to go down maybe a copy or two, I do not blame you. Next, we've got 4 of the classic Otama, OP01, 1 cost 0 power, 2k counter. She's got the ability of on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power for the turn. Again, we've got so many cards that KO based on power level. This is a great addition. I absolutely love a 2k that also has on play utility. Next, we've got 3 of the 5 cost 6,000 power Marcos from OP03. This has the on play during your turn. You may KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3,000 or less. If you're at 6 Dawn, you can give a Dawn to your leader and it's hitting a 5,000 power character. Then he's got the ability of on KO, you may trash an event card from your hand and then replay him as rested. While I do really like this card in the deck, I feel like we do have so many KO cards that if you wanted to trim this down and go for some other cards, maybe the 9 cost Sanji or a bigger body, I really don't think that's crazy, just because we really do have so many ways to pop characters. Next, we've got the 2 cost 3,000 power super spot build Duck Squad, 2k counter, which is really what it's going to be used for. It can also be cheated out with cards like Chopper, the event, and then also Emporio Ivankov. This card is basically just a card to cheat out, and if you're not cheating it out, then you're just going to save it for a 2k probably. It's got the ability of when attacking, give up to one of your active leaders minus 5,000 power, then you get to return this card to your hand at the end of the turn. This allows you to swing with it, get value that way, and then bounce back a 2k to your hand. I don't find myself using this ability very often, just because I usually want to also swing with my leader, but it could hypothetically happen, and it could hypothetically be useful. I just don't use it that often. Next, one of the best animal package cards, 3 cost 5,000 power Tony Chopper from OP08. He's got the ability of during your turn, on play, and when attacking, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, then play an animal character with 4,000 power or less as rested. This is an amazing way to spam bodies and makes it troublesome for your opponent. If you can just keep playing this card both when attacking and on play, you're going to get crazy value if they're not able to remove it. Yes, these bodies aren't usually super strong, but they can get annoying. Like just a bunch of little bodies, you're playing low to the ground and putting pressure on your opponent. Yeah, this card's amazing. No counter, which isn't amazing, but yeah, this is a really good card in this deck. Next, we've got 3 Ben Beckman from OP09, 7 cost 7,000 power with 1k of counter. He's got the on play of trashing up to one of your opponent's characters with a power level of 6,000 or less. With a Dawn on your leader, this becomes an 8,000 power character. I'm looking at you, Eustace Captain Mid. We're coming for you with this card. This card is a beast. He's just a really strong card that has a solid ability, and yeah, I like him in this deck a lot. 3 of the 2 cost 3,000 power Monets from OP10. She's got the ability of activate main. You may give 2 rested Dawn to a leader or one of your characters. then rest this character and give minus 1000 power to one of your opponent's characters. That was a little bit of a mouthful, but this synergizes very well with your leader ability. This synergizes very well with some of your characters like Marco and Newgate. And not only is that cool, she also synergizes perfectly with Emporio Ivankov. Emporio Ivankov is such an important part of our early game with this deck. If you can pull out the combo early with this card, you're going to be setting yourself up for success. Ivankov is a 3 cost 4000 power character, but what is really exciting about them is the abilities. On play, you get to reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a cost 2 character, you get to play them out, which we got some strong 2 cost characters in this deck. Monet is really strong. Richie and then Super Duckbill Boy, whatever his name is, they're all right, you know, but if you're cheating them out for free, that's amazing. Then it gets better. Ivankov also has the ability of when attacking once per turn, if you have 6 cards or less in your hand, you get to draw a card. This is crazy draw value. This means you're going to be able to counter out of hits early, then just get those cards right back with this ability. I love this card in this deck. I think a lot of people do. Next up, we're running probably the strongest card in this deck, and that is 7 cost, 8000 power, starter deck 15, Whitebeard. On play, you get to give a Don to your leader or one of your characters. Of course, most of the time I'm giving it to Marco so that we can use our leader ability. Bringing a character down to potentially in range of this Newgate. The Newgate activate main, you may rest him, and then pop a 5000 power character or less. This is perfect with your leader ability. Do I even gotta say more about that? 4 might be a lot. Maybe with all the card draw in this deck, you go down to 3. I think that's perfectly valid. Right now, this deck's running 4, and I think it's fine, but yeah, 3 might be the move here. On to the next one. Starter deck 15 Ace gives this deck a little bit of rush capability, which I really do like. 5 cost, 6000 power, and 1k counter. He's got the ability that he can't be removed from the field, or scratch that, he can be removed from the field, but the first time it happens, you can instead give him minus 2000 power. So he's going to be really annoying for your opponent to try to remove from the field using effects. Then he's got the ability of if your leader has the Whitebeard type, he gets rush, a 5 cost, 6000 power rusher that can withstand 1 removal attempt from the board using abilities. That's pretty solid to me. 3 of them seems like the right number to me. I'm enjoying this card a lot in this deck. Of course, this isn't really like a rush deck, but having a rush card in a deck is always a nice touch. 2 Josus from OP08, 6 cost, 7000 power with 1k counter. This is a nice touch in this deck. Not the most important card, but there are certainly circumstances where I do find him really valuable. His on play requires you to bounce one of your characters besides him back to your hand. Then you get to bounce back one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less back to their hand. This is a great way to steal the tempo, really get maybe a 2k counter back into your hand, a utility card like Otama. I see a lot of potential with this card, and I do like him in Marco decks regardless of the build. 4 of the 2 cost 2000 power OP09 Richies, cross guild representation right here. Simply a chump blocker that can be cheated out a lot of different ways. Cheated out via Ivankov, cheated out via the event, Tony Chopper. This is overall a great card. As you'll see in the games, I use this card a lot just because 2 Don is so cheap. Throw them out there, protect some of your characters that are important, that are probably rested like Ivankov and Newgate. Yeah, what do you want me to say about this card? Perfect card in this deck, basically. Ivankov, you'll watch the gameplay, you'll see just how strong this card is. Shut Up and Come With Us. This is the 1 cost counter event that doesn't protect any of your characters, but it does allow you to cheat out an animal typed body. We got a lot of animal typed cards in this deck, so this is usually hitting, and it's going to be really annoying for your opponent to deal with, where you're just being able to cheat out bodies during their turn. The fact that they're coming out as active too does make things awkward for your opponent. You won't just use this and then they swing right into the characters. Next, we've got Seaquake, which is a 1 cost OP02 event. Activate main if your leader has the Whitebeard Pirates type, which we do. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a power of 3000 or less. This is insane with your leader ability. Combining it with your leader ability for 2 Don, you're getting rid of a 5000 power character. That is insanely good value. This deck only runs 2 of them, and I understand why, just because you have a lot of other ways to KO characters, and it is an event without counter, so it can be a little bit risky sometimes to use it. But with your card cycling leader ability, I don't think it's that big of a deal if he ran 3 maybe, just because it makes getting rid of cards so easy. It's so cheap. I absolutely love this card. It also has the trigger that allows you to give up to one of your opponents or characters minus 3000 power during the turn. So hypothetically, it could help you in a situation where you're on the defensive side of things and can't get out of an attack. Last but not least, we do have 2 copies of the 6 cost Gum Gum Red Rock. Bottom deck any of your opponent's characters. Absolutely insane. Of course, nowadays a lot of characters do have abilities, and there are ways to get around Red Rock, like the 3 cost Tashigi or the 5 cost Kuzan. But this card overall is just amazing in this deck. Two, again, because you are doing a lot of cycling with your deck and you should be able to find it, hopefully at least. If you wanted to cut down a Newgate, for example, and maybe a Marco to add more red rocks, I don't think that would be crazy at all just because this card is so strong. Overall, though, I've been loving this deck list. Animal Marco is not something I ever tried before, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I don't think he's going to become my daily deck, just because there are decks I do like more than him, but at the end of the day, he's a fun deck to test out. I really think you should give it a try, and I always find it fun to test new leaders. With that being said, let's get into the giveaway. Today we've got a custom Shanks leader. Unfortunately, I do not have a custom Marco leader, so we're going to give away a custom Shanks leader using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I'm not the artist. I'm not selling this. This is just a fun personal fan project. All you have to do to enter this giveaway is 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that, folks. If this video gets 25 likes in the first 24 hours, I will randomly choose a US-based commenter, send it to you for completely free. It's as simple as that. Consider supporting the channel, leaving a like, leave a comment, and if you're feeling crazy, if you're feeling wacky, consider hitting that subscribe button as well. It's free. We just hit 2,000 subscribers, which is absolutely absurd. I can't believe the love and support I've been getting. Shout out to all of you who've supported the channel. If you're playing Marco this set, I would love your feedback on this deck. I would love to hear what cards you're running that maybe I should consider as well. With that being said, you're ready for some gameplay though, so editor, roll the gameplay. Our first matchup of the day is going to be against an OP07 Green Bonnie, and I gotta say, this matchup is very winnable for us. I've played a lot of games as Bonnie, and I've gotta say, games against Marco where they're able to establish a Newgate on curve, man, those just feel so bad. So in this case, with our leader ability, with that Edward Newgate in our hand, I'm feeling really confident right now. We are going to be on the odd curve. They play down the Jewelry Bonnie and do a search on their first turn. We are going to swing into that with our leader to get it off the board, and then we're going to play the Ivankov into a blind 2-cost super spot build Duck Squad. While getting that extra body is nice, just establishing that Ivankov early and helping us draw cards is so strong early game. They're going to swing 8,000 here into our leader. We will absolutely just take this. Nothing too crazy there. We get the Marco out of life. They'll pass it back to us, and with 5 Don to work with, we do have some decisions to make. I'm going to start off by using leader ability, just cycling our hand a little bit, seeing what we can find. Basically every single card in this hand could be really useful, so I'm really stumped about which card to get rid of. I'm leaning towards Marco just because we have other ways to remove characters like our 7-cost Newgate and our Gum Gum Red Rock. I think the Newgate is going to be more valuable than the Marco, but at the same time, I don't think I would have been crazy to keep that Marco in my hand either. Maybe getting rid of the Monet. I actually decided to play out the Monet just because Monet can be such an annoyance, especially when they turn their character sideways. Monet also acts as like the pseudo blocker because they're going to want to get her off the board ASAP. We're going to swing 4,000 first with our Ivankov just because I'm prioritizing the card draw there. They'll rest our Monet and not our leader, which catches me a little off guard. I think they probably should have rested my leader, but this sets themselves up nicely to remove the Monet before it really gets any value next turn. Then they will take the 6,000 power swing from our leader. We've got 2 Don left up to work with. I could leave those up for the Shut Up and Come With Us event, but at the same time, I think I'm better off just playing the Richie blocker. I will definitely use it here if it means keeping my Ivankov or my Monet alive. Preferably the Ivankov is what I really want to keep alive, just because Ivankov, when attacking, gets you so much value. 5,000 from their leader into the Ivankov, that is not going to be enough. I can easily counter out of that, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to use a counter instead of blocking just because I do have a decent amount of counter cards in hand, and I will continuously draw cards with my Ivankov anyway, replacing the ones I just used for counter. I'll give them the 2k counter Otama, then they're going to play down the Carrot 5-drop, and instead of freezing the Ivankov, they're going to freeze the Monet. I think they maybe should have done that the other way around, where they froze the Ivankov and then swung into the Monet. Either way, it doesn't matter. 7 Don for us. We're going to play down the starter deck 15 Edward Newgate, give a Don to our leader, use leader ability, pop the Carrot, then swing 6,000 with our leader into their leader, 6,000 into 5,000. They're going to rest our Richie. That is definitely cool with us because that means we can swing with our Ivankov. Of course, the Ivankov can't do any damage, but we do get to draw a card. We get the Richie blocker, another one. It's a 1k counter, which is nice, and now we've got 4k worth of counter in our hand. I don't think there's going to be a way for them to deal with most of the bodies on our board, at least. An Electrical Luna, which I don't think most bodies play, would actually go insane here. They're going to start off with a Cavendish, 5 Don, restand 2. Now they still have 5 Don to work with. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I really think this game might be out of reach for them already. Of course, there's still a lot of game to be played, but look at the board difference. I've got a board full of characters, some of which, like Ivankov and Newgate and Monet, just get me crazy value. They're not going to play anything else this turn. Maybe a Rosinante would have been good. They're just going to swing 9,000 into Monet, and I will let the Monet go. I do have Seaquakes in my hand. I have a Gum Gum Red Rock. I have Newgate, of course. I have a lot of ways to just destroy whatever body they play on board. We're going to draw into a Ben Beckman with leader ability, and Ben Beckman could be really helpful in this matchup. While I do have a ton of cards to get rid of other characters, that 7 cost, just getting rid of a 6,000 power character with my leader ability, that's an 8,000. That is the perfect way to get rid of a Eustace Captain Kidd. So I'll keep that in my hand, get rid of a Seaquake. Of course, Seaquake's great, especially with my leader ability, but I think 1 is fine. I will use Edward Newgate to pop the Cavendish, getting rid of any value it got initially. I'm going to swing maybe 7,000 with my leader first. They do have their leader ability still to use. It's a matter of whether they're going to rest Ivankov or Richie. They will rest Richie, meaning that we will be able to get value from Ivankov this turn. We got to play cards to get us down to 6 cards in hand, though, to get that Ivankov effect. So we'll play down our Richie, then we are going to swing. We're going to swing 6,000 with the Ivankov, draw into a Marco. That's pretty solid as well. 6,000, 3 down, left up. I'm just going to throw this all on our super spot build Duck Squad. That name is absolutely crazy and a mouthful. We're going to swing 6,000 with that. They give us another 2k counter and we'll pass it to them. They do have a ton of cards in hand, 10 Don, 3 life, which seems alright, but man, I'm telling you, maybe it's just me, but I think our board is just so strong right now. They're going to swing 5,000 into one of our rested Richie blockers, which is perfectly fine with me. They've got that. Then they're going to play down the 10 cost Doflamingo, freezing my Ivankov, freezing my Newgate, and then of course freezing my leader. We are just going to be able to red rock this. I don't know necessarily if it's worth it trying to get it low enough for maybe Marco or Seaquake or Beckman. I mean, we definitely could between Beckman and Monet get that off the board and leader ability, but I think just using the Red Rock is perfectly fine in this situation. Before I play Red Rock, though, I will do a swing with the Duck Squad, just giving them 4 Don. I could also develop a smaller body here. I don't think that would be crazy at all. Maybe just playing the 3 cost Tony Chopper blocker. That was probably a decent move, but I'm just thinking here I put pressure on them. They're going to have to give me 2 cards or take a life. So let me know what you think about this play in the comments below. If you disagree with this play, maybe I should have just played that Chopper or even Monet. 7,000 at them with Duck Squad. They will use the 0 cost counter event. Then I'll bottom deck the Doflamingo with, of course, a Gum Gum Red Rock. That card is too good not to include in this list. 5,000 with their leader into our Duck Squad. We're going to let that go. 10 Don for them to work with. They will set up the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kidd. Do they have a blocker to go with it? They do. They've got the 2 cost Rosinante, and that is perfectly fine. We've got about a zillion ways to remove this Eustace Captain Kidd and this Rosinante, both of them on this turn. We'll get rid of the Rosinante with the Seaquake. 1, 2, 3. Easy peasy. Then we are going to use leader ability, draw 1, and then I don't really think it matters too much what we bottom deck here. We're going to place the Eustace, not the Eustace, oh my god, I'm losing it. We're going to place the Tony Chopper at the bottom of our deck. Now we're going to play out the Monet, give 2 rested Don to Ivankov, minus the power of the Eustace Captain Kidd, pop it with the Whitebeard. We can swing with the Ivankov here, drawing a card. We might have to play out this Richie first, but they just concede anyway. That game was over. Our board was just way too strong. I probably overcomplicated that last play. Just throwing out the Ben Beckman along with some more cost reduction would have been perfectly fine to get rid of that Eustace Captain Kidd, but it is what it is. We established an insane board from the get-go. Now we've got a game against Blue Doflamingo, one leader that many people would say is one of the best leaders in the game right now, despite the Jinbei ban. We are on the even curve. We're going to start off by doing leader ability. We draw a 7 cost Newgate. We already have one in our hand, so I think we're safe to bottom deck that. 3 Don for them to work with. No teach. They're just going to do a blind leader swing, and they whiff on that. They get the Sengoku. This is huge for us. A Dofi getting a blind leader swing for a card like Weevil or Boa is absolutely huge, and just the tempo is insane for them early game. We're actually going to counter out of that early swing just because it doesn't really matter too much We're going to be able to draw cards with Ivankov, and we want to play around a potential Charlotte Pudding. I put a Monet 2-cost character at the top of our deck just so that I can play it off with the Ivankov. That is going to be a crazy combo so early in the game. They'll 2k counter out of my 6,000 power leader swing. Then we'll hit them with the Ivankov into Monet. This is a diabolical combo that is going to make it easy for us to remove any rested characters they play this turn. That is, if they can't remove the Monet with maybe a 4-cost Trafalgar Law. 5 Don for them to work with. 1-cost Perona comes out. This is going to allow them to sort the top 5 of their deck. Either put it at the top or put it at the bottom. I think a Teach would be really helpful for them in this situation. They're going to bottom deck that stack, and ooh, that is rough. Now for 1 Don, they'll play a Sengoku Searcher, trying to find something to play. They do find that Teach. We might see it here. This would allow them to still use their leader ability this turn, but alas, they will not. They're going to throw 2 down on leader, do a blind leader ability yet again, and they do have the 4-cost starter deck 17 Boa Hancock. That is one of the best cards to get in a blind leader ability, so good for them. I'm looking to see what they drew. They did draw the Marshall D. Teach. I was a little bit surprised that they still got that leader ability off despite bottom decking with Perona. We unfortunately, or fortunately for us, get the Gum Gum Red Rock trigger, so we're able to bottom deck that Perona. I straight up feel bad for this other player. Not only are they low rolling, I am certainly high rolling them. Just such bad luck on their end and such great luck on my end. 5,000 now with Ivankov to start out with. I'm able to draw a card. I get the 3-cost EBO1 Tony Chopper, which is solid, but nothing too crazy. We're going to give 1 down to my leader, use leader ability, do it, draw 1, bottom deck 1. We're going to bottom deck that EBO1 Chopper that we just drew just because we already have one, and then we also do have that 2-cost Richie, so we do have plenty of blockers in hand. I'll do 7,000 with our Marco, and then for 3 Don, I'm thinking that we do the 3-cost Tony Chopper. They are countering out of some of these hits. I think that's a little premature. I don't think that they really needed to do all that. They should have taken some of these hits to get more cards in hand. Maybe they're newer with Dofi. We'll see. They do play the Jozu. Jozu's going to be able to pop back either Perona or Sengoku. In their case, maybe Sengoku's better at this point just to fill up their hand a little bit. They will go with the Perona instead, which is fair. It allows them to set the top of their deck, which maximizes their leader ability. They'll give a Don to their leader, swing 6,000 into the Ivankov. I'm definitely going to want to counter out of this just because the Ivankov is so valuable to me, and of course, I've said it once, I'll say it again. We get back the cards that we counter to keep it alive. We draw the Shut Up and Come With Us. Nothing too crazy there. I will be able to remove this Jozu with my 7-cost Newgate. I also could hypothetically Jozu their Jozu, but I think Newgate is just definitely the move here. We'll play him down, 7 Don, use leader ability after giving a Don to our leader with Newgate's ability. I think we're safe to put the Ivankov at the bottom of our deck. We already got value from the one we have on the field already. I don't think we need another. We are going to pop the Jozu. We'll swing 5,000 with Ivankov, drawing a Richie 2-cost blocker. I mean, who doesn't love a chump blocker in this meta, ladies and gentlemen? 5,000, they will take that hit. Now we'll do 6,000 with our Marco, and will they counter out of this one? They will. They'll give us a 2k, and we will just pass it back to them. We are in such a good spot. With 9 Don up, I'd say getting rid of the Edward Newgate with the Gum Gum Red Rock if they play that card, or maybe Gravity Blade Raging Tiger to get rid of my Ivankov and my Monet would be the move. They'll play down the Perona, setting the top of their deck, then give 2 Don to their leader. They must have found something that they liked. In my opinion here, they either got to get rid of the Ivankov or the Newgate. They've just gotten me so much value and will continue to do that next turn as well. We'll see what they do though. We know they set the top of their deck, 7,000 into Ivankov. I cannot counter out of this, so unfortunately I'm going to have to let Ivankov go. They found the 4-cost Law, which is the perfect way to deal with my Monet, sending it back to my hand. 5 Don for them still to work with. I wonder what they could play here. Maybe a Boa into like a Sengoku or a Boa into Perona again. A Gecko Moria would also be nice, but alas, they must not have it. They're going to swing 7,000 with Sengoku into my Newgate. They get that wrong. They do a miscalculation. As a content creator, it always feels bad when that happens in otherwise good games. But alas, it is what it is. Even if they swung into my life, I don't think it really makes much of a difference in this situation. We top deck another Newgate, and I decide just to go full control here. We're going to play that down, pop their Law. We can also get rid of the Sengoku, whether it's swinging with our leader or popping it with the Newgate. I don't know how much of a difference it really makes. 6,000 into it, it's 0 power because of our leader ability, and they let it go. Now 8,000 with Newgate into their leader. I imagine they'll take this, and they do. Now we'll play down the 3-cost Tony Chopper that allows us to cheat out another animal body, and we're going to go with the Duck Squad. The Richie is also not a bad idea, just because if they don't deal with it this turn, it becomes a decent blocker to have on the field. Decent might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but I decided to go with the Duck Squad just because it's more of a viable swing. They do have the Red Rock to deal with one of my Newgates. They might swing into this other one and try to remove it that way, but we will have the counter to get rid of that. 1 2K, 3 1Ks in our hand. We're feeling pretty good about our situation. This 3-cost Chopper will be a decent way to spam out other bodies as well. That's if they do not have the bounce law here. 7,000 with their leader into either my leader or this Duck Squad. They're going to swing into Duck Squad, and we are definitely going to let that go. They do have the Edward Weevil off a leader ability, and they will be able to draw a card off of that, which is very good for them. But who cares? We're still in a great spot. We're going to use leader ability, draw 1, put the Shut Up and Come With Us at the bottom of our deck. Use leader ability to give minus 2,000 to their Weevil. Swing 5,000 with our Tony Chopper. Cheat out the EBO1 Chopper. And then will they counter out of this? It doesn't really matter if they do or don't, just because we can get rid of it again like last turn, whether it's be swinging or with the Edward Newgate. We will swing into it again just because we're trying to get as much counter out of their hands as possible. Maybe I should just use Newgate, but at the same time, if they're going to counter all these attacks, I think it's worth it now just because that's counter they won't have later on in the game when we're going at their life. I think this deck is built to be okay with the game going later just because we have so many swings and so many ways to control the board. Now we're going to swing 8,000 with Newgate. They will let that go. I'm going to play down the Jozu. Let me know how you feel about this play down below. Maybe this is a little overkill, but I'm going to bounce back their Perona back to their hand, which is honestly kind of helpful. Maybe I didn't really need to do that. But I did like the idea of establishing a big 6K or 6-cost 7,000 power body, and then I'm also able to play out the 3-cost Tony Chopper again to cheat out another animal character. Let me know what you think about that play in the comments down below. I could see people having beef with it. I could see people liking it. I probably didn't need to send that Perona back to their hand because now they're going to get value out of it yet again, which is perfect for them. So yeah, maybe I should have left the Perona alone. You live and you learn though. That's the whole point of this, is to just grind and get better at the game. They're going to play the Perona and set the top of their deck. They'll do leader ability here, swing 7,000 at our Moment of Truth life. Off a leader ability, they're able to play out the Weevil, so they were able to do that because of that Perona I sent back to their hand. We are going to counter out of this just to be a little bit cautious. Now they do have plenty of Don left. They could have established more bodies, but they will use the Gum Red Rock to get rid of my Newgate. That feels kind of bad. It'll make getting rid of this Weevil a little bit more awkward. We are in a fine spot to get rid of it though. We do of course have leader ability. We top deck an ace off our normal draw, then off leader ability we find another ace. I'm thinking we keep those in our hand just to go for game. Pretty soon we're going to be able to go for lethal, and those will be great ways to do it. We're going to start off with a 6,000 power swing into the 4,000 power Edward Weevil. They will counter out of that. They give us 1K. Do they have a 2K or they just have all 1Ks? It'll be interesting if they have all 1Ks, and they do. There is definitely no need to counter out of that attack just because it is basically guaranteed that this Weevil will die. Yeah, don't love this strategy by my opponent, but it is what it is. They'll let the Weevil go after my Tony Chopper swing. We didn't find anything off that Chopper search, but that's fine. Now I'm going to give 2 Don to our Duck Squad, swing 5,000 at them. There might be a path to lethal here if I just mapped my Don out a little bit better between my blocker Chopper and the Duck Squad, but I'm in no rush to win because I think we kind of have this in the bag. We'll swing 6,000 with one of our rush aces, and then just to be really safe, we'll play down the 2-cost Richie blocker. I'm definitely being a little bit over dramatic here, but yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to throw down a Richie blocker and keep an ace or Jozu or Chopper alive, you know? 8,000 into the ace, we will block out of that. Now they're able to establish a little bit of a threatening board, but it's a little bit too little too late. 5,000 with Perona into our Chopper. This is a 2K counter, no doubt, and we'll just be able to finish them off here. Of course, they do have that Boa, but we will be able to not only outnumber them with swings, we also have the Newgate in our hand if we want to use that. On to the next one. Now we've got a game against Boa Hancock. Hopefully this one's a little bit more competitive than that last one. I feel like my opponent just low rolled and then also might have been new with the deck, so a little bit unideal there. Dofi's still an amazing deck though. That last turn they had was really strong, just not strong enough to keep them alive. Now we are on the odd curve. We're going first. We're going to do a little card cycle with our leader ability and pass it back to them. Boa plays a ton of smaller chump blockers, like 1 cost Law, 3 cost Dofi. It's going to be really fun to pop those with our Marcos, with our New Gates, with our Seaquakes. I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup. Of course, Boa can bottom deck and bounce back to hand a lot of our bodies as well, so we're going to go back and forth. We'll start out with a 5,000 power swing, which they will take. Then we'll play down the 3 cost Tony Chopper. Looking at the top 5, we do not see any animal cards. That is a little bit of a bummer. A Duck Squad or another Tony Chopper would have been very nice. Even a Richie would have been nice. They will have that 4 cost bounce Law to bounce the Chopper back to our hand and then swing 5,000 at us. I will give them a Marco as a 1K. I love that Marco. I already have another though, so I'm thinking I want to protect my life a little bit here. I also don't want to develop too big of a hand size because they will be able to punish me with a pudding. We're going to swing 6,000, I guess. 6,000 at their leader with our leader. I imagine they counter out of this. They've got a big hand size already. And as a Boa player, you actually don't really want a big hand size. I'm going to use my Seaquake already just because I'm going to get that Law off the board and prevent it from pressuring our life at all. Then I still have Don to play the 3 cost Tony Chopper. Off the Chopper, we can play the Duck Squad, and now we're sitting pretty good. They've got 6 Don to work with. That 6 cost 7,000 power Boa Hancock from OPO7, I believe it is. That would be a really strong choice for them to play this turn. They'd be able to prevent our Chopper from attacking. Otherwise, though, I think we're in a decent spot. 5,000 at our Duck Squad. We are going to let that go, of course. 6 Don. They're probably going to be able to bounce this Chopper, or they do play that 6-7, or it's 6-8, pardon me. That 6-8 Boa Hancock. That is a very good play right now. I'm thinking, is there a way I can get rid of this Boa between leader ability, Otama, and Marco? I don't know if there is. I can play Newgate at least though and hope he stays on the board. I won't be able to get this Boa off the board, which feels really bad and makes this play feel a little bit risky. I just have to really hope this Edward Newgate can stay on the board, because if not, he really didn't get any value. 6,000 at their leader now with my leader. We didn't use leader ability there. I like the cards we have in our hand, so we'll just pass it back to them. They will counter out of that attack. 8 Don for them to work with. We could see the Kairos here. Bouncing that Tony Chopper back to hand would be really strong. The Kairos, it's not searchable in this deck, but I really do like him in Boa. They're going to start by swinging 8,000 into our leader. This is a definite take. I mean, hypothetically, we could counter out of it, but I think that's a little bit dramatic. So we'll take this 6,000 now with their leader, and we will give them the 2K Duck Squad counter, keeping our life at 3. I don't want to go down much further this turn, at least. They will play down the 6 cost Jozu, bouncing back our Tony Chopper to our hand. We are still in a pretty good spot though. 9 Don for us to work with. We're going to go with the second Edward Newgate. We could have also flooded the board. I think both are viable strategies. I think maybe going double Newgate just makes things a little bit more awkward for them. I don't think they're going to be able to deal with both of our Newgates at least. Maybe I should have also just done 2 Tony Choppers and see where that took me, but I'm alright with this strategy. We've removed the Jozu using leader ability and one of our Edward Newgates. Now we're going to play down Otama, because I really want to get rid of this Boa Hancock, because then they could possibly get rid of both of my Newgates next turn. One by removal like Gum Gum Red Rock, and then another by swinging into it potentially. We're going to start with an 8,000 power swing, which they will counter out of, and now I'm thinking we just swing big 7,000 into it and hope for the best. The fact that I'm only swinging 1K over it, and then they do have 4 cards in hand, does make me a little bit nervous and maybe second guessing my decision to go this route. But we'll see. 7,000 into 6,000. They let it go. I am happy. That turn would have felt a little bit bad if they were able to keep that Boa alive. Alas, they were not. We'll see what they do this turn. 3 cost Doflamingo from OPO1. This allows them to set the top or bottom of their deck. They're going to set the top. This is also a chump blocker that is easily removed with my leader ability and Marco, or my Newgates. You know the deal, folks. I've got a ton of removal in this deck. They are also going to play down the Jozu, bounce back. Maybe my Otama. They don't really have anything to bounce back. That's not an ideal play for them. Their hand must just be kind of bricked and their options are limited. I'm thinking maybe they should have just threw a bunch of Don on their leader and swung into the Newgate. I don't think establishing that Jozu really does a ton for them. At least they were smart enough not to bounce that Otama back to my hand, because I'd be able to get a 2k back to my hand, and then also that Otama has great value. 5,000 into our leader. With their leader, we are going to 1k counter out of that with the Richie. Keeping our life healthy feels really good, and this next turn, we're actually going to be able to remove both of their characters if we want. I could use leader ability to get that Jozu down to 5,000, which is perfect for that Newgate. I have two of them, not just one. We are going to use leader ability first. Drawing a 2k is pretty solid. I'm going to put the Ivankov at the bottom of my deck, but in hindsight, I don't think I would have been crazy to put the 2k Duck Squad back at the top of my deck and then play Ivankov this turn, just really flooding the board. I still would have had Don for Marco perhaps, and yeah, I definitely don't think that would have been a bad option for myself. They are going to counter out of that big leader swing. I'm now going to rest my other Newgate and then KO their Doflamingo blocker, swing 6,000 with my Rush Ace, and then with 3 down left open, it's the perfect amount to play this Tony Chopper from OP08. We do get the Richie, which I will play over the Otama, even though it is rested, which means it is an easy target and can actually block anything. It's still good to have on the field, because if they don't deal with it this turn, then next turn it will be taken care of. They're going to use Gravity Blade, Raging Tiger, trying to bottom deck my Ace. Unfortunately, they cannot bottom deck it because I can use his ability. If they swing big into it this turn, though, I won't be able to protect it, which is fine. We still got some value from him, and we still have those big Newgates on the board. They'll give it Don to their leader, swing 6,000 at the Ace, and it is tempting to save it, but I just let him go. This Marco could be helpful popping whatever they play next turn, and then also a 2k counter is good to keep in hand. I don't want to go all the way down to 0 cards in hand, so that's why I decided to let the Ace go. Let me know if you disagree with that in the comments down below. I always love hearing your feedback. For 5 Don, we're going to play out Marco, pop their chump Trafalgar Law blocker, then we can use leader ability. I honestly, I don't know. I feel like I can just put this at the bottom of my deck. Of course, I have some good options, but I've got a full board already. There's no point in playing the Ivankov and then cheating out another body. Us using Newgate to pop the Sengoku is a little bit over dramatic probably, but I'm in no rush to win. You know, I'm just controlling the board, and I think we're in a great position. They might have a trigger here because it is taking them a while to pass it back to us, and they will use the trigger to bottom deck our Richie. That's not really a big deal because we have another Richie. Good thing we kept 2 Don open. Do they have another trigger? Yes, they do. That's actually insane. 2 great triggers in a row. They just got my Marco. That OP03 Marco is a really strong card and was going to help us go for game next turn, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. We still have this Richie to kind of save our board. They do have a Gum Gum Red Rock to bottom deck our 1 Newgate. We still have another on the board, and even if this one doesn't survive, I think we'll be all right. For 1 Don, they've got the Sengoku Searcher. I don't really think there's going to be anything they can find to really change the inevitable. They do find the Doflamingo blocker from OP01. They'll swing 5,000 at our life. Honestly, maybe I should take this just to see what we can get. If we get an Ace Rusher here, I think we definitely win. They will play down that 3-cost Dofi blocker, and I can get rid of it right away with Newgate, but then unfortunately, we're in a little bit of a weird spot in terms of going for game. We're going to use leader ability just to see what we can get. We get another Monet, just put that at the bottom. I'm annoyed at myself for kind of overcomplicating this last turn. I think I should have just used Newgate to pop the Doflamingo blocker and then swung for game with Richie and my leader. We're going to swing with our leader, and they do counter out of that. I'm still going to swing with my Richie, just 5,000 to their leader, which they have to take or block. They will block. Now I'll swing 8,000 with Newgate. They'll take that. Is there a trigger? There actually is a trigger, but we're all right. We're going to play down the 3-cost Tony Chopper. That cheats out another Tony Chopper. They have the Mihawk 9-cost, but it's too little too late, folks. This is going to be game. GG's. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? How are you feeling about this deck list? How are you feeling about this leader? As I said before, this is my first time playing Marco, and I really have enjoyed him. The animal package is definitely not something I first expected when seeing Marco, but hey, I mean, it works definitely, as you can see by the games, as you can see by the fact that someone topped with this list. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Not forecast Charlotte pudding though. That was a bad joke. Alright, you're tired of me yapping. Editor, let's wrap this up. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy the content. I really appreciate you all. I'm losing my mind. Editor, end this video right now. But don't forget to subscribe for real though.